All right, guys, welcome back to the Complaint Department with I'm Joe, that's Kenny. We have Cisco from Curb Media here with us.
Should I wave?
You can wave.
Hi, people.
Look at that.
I mean, they can see you now.
That's
Yeah.
That's a better intro than Rick did.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I saw some of it, but I didn't see it. But yeah.
We rehearsed that.
Oh,
You did great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blocked it and everything.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So we're going to get into some complaints. He has some expertise in movies. We went to Full Sail, same college there. So we've maybe have some similarities there to talk about cameras, shooting, things like that. Has certain backgrounds where he's worked. And maybe we'll touch on some of those topics there. But as always, it's not a kid's show, so you can bring your kids, but that's up to you kind of thing. They might have to explain some of the topics to you. If you're liking the show, send us a like, a subscribe, throw us a comment down there, maybe if you're feeling it. I know Doug will.
Doug's always watching.
Yeah.
Doug's always
Thanks, Doug.
It's all Doug does.
Yeah.
Right?
Thanks, Doug. Yeah.
Doug hanging out in the background.
Yeah.
We did have one episode go over 100 views. Yeah, not bad.
Well, this one will go.
Now, right? Now we're going to do 1,000, 2,000,
Yeah,
50,000.
This is gonna.
This is the
shoot
launching
up.
pad here.
So this is what we're hoping for.
This is good. No. This is good. So that way, take you guys to
Exactly.
the top. Just don't forget about me though.
Nah.
Oh no, we're taking you along for the ride.
Okay.
Yeah, right? We're going to have
Fair
to just
enough.
keep moving people in here. It'll be fine.
I'll just
Like
scoot over and then just
We're gonna go back to a square table again.
it should. Yeah.
That'd be great. So yeah, I was going to dive into some topics here. I wanted to ask, I know I asked Rick at the end of the last one, so I might bring this up at the beginning, especially if somebody in movies and TV. I wanted to get your opinion because I think Kenny's opinion is terrible on this show.
Okay.
But maybe you haven't seen it, but that's
So
okay.
I don't know
We'll
what he's
skip
going
it.
to ask. So let's just preface that first. So but go ahead.
We didn't rehearse this
We didn't.
one.
We did not.
No. But what, if you have ever seen it, what do you think of the show The Peaky Blinders on Netflix?
I have not seen the
nuts.
on Netflix.
That's all right.
I'm familiar with it. Like I've seen like clips from it and things like that, but I
Word.
have not seen any episodes. I apologize.
Sounds like he shares my opinion of it ain't worth my damn time
Oh,
because it's a lot of extra waste.
No.
It's a fair question, but you gotta have like we lived in the era like the beginning of streaming where you
Yeah.
had Netflix, and maybe you had a few people that you knew that had Hulu, and like that was it. And then past that, it was like everybody just watched whatever was on Netflix. Now you have
Everything.
there's 90 different options now for streaming, and
Yeah.
it's like you can, but now all of our sports are on streaming, all of wrestling's on streaming.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like that moved in it. So it's like when things take up your time, and now you have all these choices and stuff. It's a lot more variety. So,
I mean,
but
definitely.
I will watch one episode for you. I will do
Homework
that.
assignment
I will
for the
do that.
next
I'll watch
for the
one
next episode when we
Yeah.
bring him on for the next 50 million views.
Right, and after we
podcast.
after we go viral from this,
Right.
Yeah, clearly.
We'll squeeze you in right after Joe Rogan.
yeah, yeah.
You're just trying to get in the comments that says Ken needs to watch Peaky Blinders, but I'm not wasting 36
I'm
hours of
gonna
my
get
life.
the comments to
But just,
swamp you.
have you watched one episode?
I have watched I watched like the first 3 episodes and it just didn't take
But
me
who's
anywhere.
the stars? Killian Murphy, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So I mean, it's good.
I like him, but my thing is, it's like I understand what happened with the IRA and all that, so it really wasn't. Yeah.
That's not the only thing. All right, have you ever seen Prison Break?
Yes, I watched all of it, and it got horrible towards the end.
Oh, it did get okay. I'll agree with that. Like they went season 5, and you're like, you're in prison again, and then back. Not to ruin it.
No, but they got
Yeah.
I've seen it, but they got out and then they went back. And I remember when they came, I was like, so wait a minute, that was the point, right? So what was the whatever? But it was it's okay.
It's fine. But yeah, like that show did get like terrible, but at the end of it. But like Peaky, all right, every show, right? Like I think there's a very few amount of shows that could make it to that point. Like I feel like Breaking Bad, maybe.
Was what?
It was good at the beginning. I feel like a little slow in the end, but then still held up, or a little slow in the middle, and then held up in the end.
No, because that was great the whole way through.
Yeah, I feel like
there was no
3 and 4 a little slower.
No, but you got to remember, like there was spots in there where it had some of the best character development.
Yeah.
Where you had to learn, like when they shifted, kind of like you had like the Mexican cartel, and then when you expanded that with Gustavo.
Yep.
And then you learned that other world, and then we got to what was the guys at the end that were like in the last with the ones where they they killed Hank in them. If nobody saw it, yeah, Hank dies. Sorry.
Sorry to
Yeah,
ruin
sorry,
it.
but Hank
That's all
dies.
we do is ruin things.
It's been 12 years at this point. Like,
Right.
Hank dies.
Right,
But
he's
that-
been dead the whole time.
Yeah, but when you
we've
got
ruined all
to
of it.
the other drug dealers that were like towards the end, and what
Yeah.
was the girl that it was like? Then you had to phase these other characters out. Going, that's why I don't think it had any misses. But
Yeah?
the characters are just the other ones are escaping me at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
But it did hold up. I'll agree, but until the end, it wasn't like we were discussing the other day. Lost, who went along
I
that.
never
journey.
watched Lost either.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
If you
Yeah.
do, stop at like season 6.
Yeah,
But that was and that was
yeah.
that might have been too like one of the last like TV shows where it was like week to week, like
Yeah.
you had to like really watch, and it kind of once that ended, that whole because everybody was talking about it, and that was like kind of came in the game a little too late with it. But
Yeah.
we had during that time we didn't have cable, but we always had HBO,
Yeah.
so it was like everything that was on HBO. So like Entourage,
yeah,
Sopranos,
yeah.
The Wire,
Like back in
I
the
could
day.
talk that stuff to death, but yeah, some of the stuff was on network TV, didn't catch like too much. Or,
Yeah. It was hard back in the day. You had to sit through commercials like the whole time.
I know, God forbid. I know. That's like,
Now
my
if you sit
asshole, my
through 'em,
one
you have to, like-
asshole friend, like, so every, no.
I have one of those. You're one.
No, he's an asshole. So he's always begging people for like their passwords and stuff, like their to share the service. No, so Black Friday, Hulu has a deal, right, for a year. It's $1 a month, right? So I send it to him. We can cuss, right? Oh yeah. This motherfucker comes back and tells me, "Oh, it has commercials." Like, what?
You're paying $1
It's
a month.
$1. Like, what are you complaining about? I'm like, you asked me. Like, well, there's certain documentaries that came out this year that were like only on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Yeah.
there was two good hip hop documentaries that came out. There was the Hughes brothers. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they directed Menace to Society and Book of Eli, Denzel Washington. You've probably seen them.
I've seen
But
those.
there's like a 5-hour Tupac documentary that they did. It's a really great documentary. I'm not a Tupac fan, but I'm a documentary fan, hip hop fan
Yeah.
in general, and the way that the story was told. And then there was a documentary of Shine. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he was a bad boy artist. When Puff got in trouble, like in early 2000, he had the gun. Jennifer Lopez.
Oh,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
was
one
the
from the Las Vegas club.
he was the one that basically took the fall
Yeah.
for them. And it was like talking about that. But yeah, couldn't risk the $1 because it was fucking commercials. Whole library of shit. And he just goes, nah, I can't do it. It has commercials, is what he tells me. He uses my Peacock, to watch like wrestling.
Which also
And he
has
has-
commercials.
Right. So he tells me, like during the shows and shit, when are we upgraded? When are we upgraded?
we?
So yeah, don't let your friends share like your passwords and stuff. Sorry, but it's like, yeah, just awful. Like, yes, if you do that, like, honest to God, if you do that, and yeah, you're just truly the scum of the earth. Like, just hands down. Yes, and I'm looking at you right there.
You're
Yeah.
gonna send him the link.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You're
say
like, yo, the first 5 minutes.
The first
we brought
5
you
minutes
in.
is all about you. I'm not gonna shame him to say his name, but we just had this conversation the other day. He literally calls and goes, "Yo, give me your." I'm like, no, like
yeah.
you're an adult now. Like, Peacock's cheap. It's like $7. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
if
one
you
of the
have
cheapest ones.
Comcast, it comes free.
right?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it with the internet. You don't even have to
if
have
you
TV.
have the internet, you
just
get
have
it
to have
for
the
free.
internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed this
But
before.
it has commercials.
But what's
theirs,
funny is
theirs
it's like-
has commercials.
I do share my passwords, and I've shared them with Joe, and he's never complained about the commercials, but he does
But he
complain.
shouldn't. He shouldn't.
Complains because I go in and change his profile name to weird shit. Like Joe has a tiny dick.
Like
and I'll go
every
add
time I
shit
go
to
in there, I never
this.
know which
But it
one to
makes-
click on.
Yeah, it makes sense. Or change his My Little Pony or
Yeah,
something.
I change
like
his
that.
profile, put a pin on there so he can't change it back.
Yeah, pretty much. I never know which one to click on. Then I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's
I'm just
yeah.
gonna go in there and click on random shit. I'm gonna click on Kendi and go click on like My
Yeah,
Little
like,
Pony
that,
shows.
That was a whole roundabout way to say I never saw Lost, but or Peaky Blinders. But
That's
yeah,
what this show's about.
yeah.
Oh, this show's never gone on track ever.
Yeah,
we write down
start
these
to go on
topics.
tangents.
I write down
But
topics
look,
as a.
we can go right down the list. And it's
Nah,
yeah.
people are like they don't care. if we go on
I'm
the
sure
list.
they don't.
Like
but,
I've gotten
I'm-
the other.
I'm
People
here for
are like,
you. Listen,
'cause,
I'm
like,
here for
all
you.
right, so you
right?
said-
No,
right down
people are like don't care about that list, and I'm like,
You
Fuck
said
that
you,
list.
you watch commercials, obviously.
Yeah.
Our opinion is we hate the fact that they're louder than everything else you watch.
They are. Yeah.
So, like, you're in the next room and you're like, oh, man, I can hear the commercial. Now you can't hear anything. And you're like, shit. I
And
gotta
it
get
just
back.
blares like in
Yeah.
your yeah.
you're right. Your neighbor can hear the commercial, but like, yeah, it's
And then
'cause
the
it's
show
like
comes back. And it's,
yeah. There's a whispering scene, right? And then whenever your parents, when you were a kid, walk in, it's always the sex scene when they walk in, right? You're like, it's been,
It's
action
been quiet
movie,
the whole time, right?
quiet the whole
Yeah.
time, but they walk in tits instantly. Yeah. Was the way
With
to
that,
do
I got
it.
a funny story about that. When Jen and I lived over at the farmhouse, we had DirecTV and stuff, and at night they would play like the Girls Gone Wild commercials and stuff. Well,
I remember those.
We were partying one night, and we went to bed, and all of a sudden, like 3 a.m, I just hear this Girls Gone Wild commercial just blaring from the living room. I walk out, the cat's just laying on the remote. He wanted to just watch it,
And
apparently.
just turn it all the way up.
Right.
Yeah, it's just going.
Henry. Shut up!
They're fighting.
Right? Yeah, well, whatever. Most of the time the mics
It's
can't
like,
pick
look,
it up anyways.
it's like, all right, so fire away. What we got?
All right,
next?
cool. Well,
What
the
we got
next thing, moving down the list after the Peaky Blinders, we made it through one topic so far. We're doing good. 10 minutes. That's like
Yeah, you're
perfect.
10 minutes.
That's
That's
perfect.
good.
With the intro and everything, we're doing good. What we were gonna say was, dude, did you pick me up? Like, I didn't even say that. What action scenes being? Well, this kind of goes along with that.
We talked about it a lot, yeah.
Yeah, the action scenes being way louder than the dialogue scenes.
When
Like
you're in a
when they
movie, yeah.
master the movie. Why is that always a thing? Like, why can't we just set the volume knob and just let it there? Why does that happen? I went to film school.
It's a
You
physics
went to
thing.
film
It's a
school?
physics thing.
Physics.
No, it's
What?
so that was one of the big things that we learned because they always. I have the book somewhere.
I was
but that
probably asleep in that class. so
Yeah,
go
because
ahead.
it was probably the most boringest thing. But the biggest thing. So when you see like people make a trail of gasoline.
Yeah.
And they strike a match. And it goes down.
Oh, yeah.
And they go. That could never happen because
Yeah.
as soon as you threw the match down, it's still wet. It would just go out.
Yeah, it would just go out because the fumes are what light.
But the ignition, if that would happen, is going to blow you back like further than what they would like on there. So you
Right.
can't really measure what the sound would be.
Right.
So that's why it's always like you either do it ridiculously, you overdo it.
yeah.
Like remember in what was the movie with Mark Wahlberg and
The Happening.
Will Ferrell?
No.
And Will Ferrell.
Oh,
yeah, the
the other
happening. I
guy.
love the happening. We can talk about that.
What?
Yeah, we talk about that. I love that.
Oh, that was on the list from last time. Like,
Oh,
oh,
you're talking
I'm writing
about
that down now.
The
Go
other
ahead.
guys
remember
with the
that,
desk
other guy,
pop.
yeah, and he walks away and they go, Star Wars is bullshit. Because when they walk away slowly and they get blown forward, and they're like, oh my God, my head's ringing. Like, yeah, it's like, it's true. Like, you would never, I mean, thankfully, hopefully this place doesn't blow up while we're in it, but you never know.
I
like-
mean, you know.
But you don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, unless you've seen it, it's hard to, that's one argument you can have. Like, until you've seen something like that happen.
Yeah. But like when I remember I was in the one class and they told me like dialogue, and everything should be within this range, right? And,
Yeah.
and then I did. And then I like an idiot, like not knowing what I was doing, I drug all my dialogue like all the way,
All the way up. And
up
you
to the
think-
explosion. You're
Yeah.
like, this is great. And then it sounds like absolute dog shit because you're hearing the hiss and like everything, right? So it's
We
like
turned
well,
it
that
up way too much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, but I did what the teacher told me to do. Look, all the levels are bouncing, right?
They don't know. And this is what I had to no, it's true. It's true. And it's not,
And it
and
was
it's not
a little
knock,
bit,
and
right?
it's not a knock on nobody else because like you got to think how much the technology changes from like look at what we're wearing right now. Did we have
Yeah.
these 10 years ago?
Nope.
10, 11 years ago when we were doing
No,
this?
we'd still be wearing wired ones
Right.
to our
And they would
pockets.
go the whole way around and you had
Yeah.
to have everything
No.
connected. So they're not adjusting for like digital or anything. So he could have been on a film set in the 80s, early 90s, whatever else, when they didn't have any technology. So he taught you a way. He just taught you a way that he knew that worked for
Yeah.
him for however many years ago. We would film mostly with Sony. I see you're using a Sony as well. And sometimes you can see the levels in there. Them things like shoot it because it catches everything.
Yeah. So, like, when you were there, did you have like the long classes like I did? Or
No, we had
because you did the
one.
online, or were you there at all?
Did it online.
Okay,
Never went.
I had one online class, and it was the art history class. I didn't learn shit about art history. I didn't.
The art history
I learned
one-
how
I
to
remember the-
cheat. That was all that class taught me how to
The
do.
art history one was good. The only class that we had to attend was when they tried to teach us like focal length, and I'll never forget. It was the funniest thing. We were on, it wasn't Zoom at the time. It was just like video because we used to
Yeah.
use AIM.
Oh,
That was we used to use American Online like AIM
who knows
chats
what AIM was, right?
for
Like,
video
let's
for the
gauge
video
the
call.
audience.
Yeah, and that was what we used to like for the classes and the communication. And I never forget. There was the funniest thing. I don't remember what the professor's name was, but he went and he talked to everybody like they were 40-year professionals in the game. And this guy, I remember, was off mute, and he threw a fit of epic proportions because he said out loud what we're all thinking. You want to talk about being lost? It's like, dude, you're not teaching us the math. You're not teaching us the range or what the light dynamic or anything, any of this stuff means. And he's just going on and on and on and on and on. And this guy was like, he's talking to us like we've been fucking doing this forever. And he went $80 fucking for college and they don't teach us shit. And then he's just going on. And then we're just all sitting there like, yeah. But he was right. He was right. And they would send you to, and it's not an Algo Films on Full Sail, please, because it's not. But it was
there was good parts and bad parts.
Yeah, they would send you for most of the lessons and stuff. They would send you to I can't even remember it was like a video like class site that you had to pay a subscription for that they gave and I can see the logo, but I can't think of the name. But you would click links and go there. So it was basically like I could have just paid for the monthly subscription if that's where all my classes and stuff were going to be. And it wasn't even from them. It was from like other people. But
like master class back then.
Yeah. And it was like it would go through those things, but everything was very condensed, and I feel like you learn more by doing. Yeah. And that was kind of,
Yeah. I mean, I went down for the classes or whatever, but I mean, I got to touch the really expensive shit. But by the time I came out of school and then got to I was on like nobody's set, you're like getting water. You're like
the only time like we ever got an opportunity was one time they had sent us an email about for ESPN. And it was like 5 hours, and it was like, it's like, it's just not going to happen. Like, my kids my son's over here. They were so little at the time. It was like, there was no way to leave for 5-6 hours and then come. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Cause I think you went a couple years after me.
I think from when we talked about it.
Yeah. So I graduated in 2009. You were
15. So yeah.
15.
Big,
so
yeah.
Big, so I'm wondering the difference there because like digital was just coming in. Like we had one class where we shot on digital. But the rest was actual film. Did they stick with that, or?
Yeah, well, it was all digital because the camera, like you saw us using as the hard cam.
Yeah.
When we met on at the wrestling show, that was the camera they gave me. So I still use it like for still shots, and it's still a really good, and it's been 10 years, 10 years old. Or no, I got that in 2012, so it's 13 years old now. Yeah, it still holds 1080p, but it's still, you can push it to 4K if you.
So at least they went all digital with it there. So I brought up that topic because I was wondering, like nowadays, like what they're doing, like you wanted to bring up, and the AI that's going to be influencing there because I've seen AI doing like editing, commercials of them. I haven't used any of them. I don't edit too much. Sure, shit, don't edit this very much. Just send it all right to YouTube. It's fine. But have you had any experience with AI in movies? Do you use anything to edit or to write or anything like that?
Yes. And sometimes you struggle with certain things, and it's just me personally.
Yeah.
Like log lines, or sometimes you would need to quip or something just to clean it up or something like that. I would definitely say like it's your friend. It's there. Sometimes you come up with a good sentence and you might think it works well, and then you say, "Hey, jazz this up," or or give a type of premise, and it's like, spit me out a log line, and I'll give it to you in 2 seconds. And it's like, it's not terrible. There's also we're currently working on a documentary about cryptids, like in Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
And,
that's cool.
And over in Colombia, one of the main things is the alba twitch. You guys are familiar with the alba twitch? You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
I have not.
So the alba twitch from history and from sightings is about a 4 to 5 foot, like Bigfoot. Just think smaller, skinnier, ape-like creature.
Okay.
Rick Fisher over there is a great guy. He's written books on the subject, and in his book, he has what his artist rendition of was the sighting that he had, like of the alba twitch. So something like that. Okay, we don't have any alba twitch videos to put in the documentary, but we have Rick's description, like in this, and you could type that description out or scan that picture, take a picture of it, put it in AI, tell me, hey, animate this. And it'll do it in like 30 seconds.
Wow.
Nice.
And I don't think that's a cheat because you would watch some of this stuff and they would use animations or sort of mock-up recreation.
A costume or something.
Or they buy a costume or someone go out and do it. So if I can do it from the computer, 2 clicks of a button, again, I think it's a great tool if you're using it in moderation. I mean, hell, everything that we watch now between like all the superhero movies and everything else, everything's done in one room.
Yeah.
And most people don't even realize that
it's all done with green.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's green screen, everything's shot, everything's all added in and stuff, everything else. So if a local guy like you and me with no budget or anything like that, if we can spice up a project or add something in. I mean, I wouldn't use it to recreate like, you know, an entire scene, but if somebody's telling you, we have a really good story of a story that he tells of a sighting that somebody gave to him. We don't have that other person.
Yeah, you don't have the other person.
I don't have
but
that
you
other
the
person. I don't have
Yeah.
right. We have the location. We drove through the location. We have the spot where the guy said he saw him running through. Now I'm not going to throw an Albert Twitch in the middle of the road and have him run around like
Right,
you know,
yeah.
But you could animate that whole story
Yeah.
Yeah.
and tell it like, you know, and redo it in a way. I mean, I grew up with sightings and unsolved mysteries and all that stuff, and that's how they would tell the stories, like through reenactments. Some of them were pretty, you know, pretty campy as it goes today, but the stuff still holds up. I mean, there's big fans of it, but yeah, I don't. I mean, if you want to create a whole script from it, again, feel free. But I think in some of the stuff, it's kind of like, but use the tools when you can, because I mean, we were just talking about in the beginning, technology's advanced like so much that, I mean, you think from a year ago, you couldn't even do half the stuff we're talking about now.
Exactly.
Without having like the money or the infrastructure or something else to like have all this stuff behind you. Now, you go to a couple different websites, type in a prompt, and they'll spit the whole thing out for you, free of charge.
Right? It's freaking crazy.
You still have to check it though, because it could be
Sure.
wrong. It could be
Yeah.
that kind of shit. But
Like Doug sent me one. Supposedly the whole movie was made by AI, or it was probably he asked for each one of the scenes, but it was like 15, 20. I think I sent it to you. It was like
you sent
15,
it to me.
20 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a long
Yeah.
freaking time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So when you
It's
use
like-
those things, I mean, if you don't, I'm not an animator. I can't draw for shit. So
yeah.
if
And
or again, I don't have the money to pay an animator. Sorry. But so in those things too, where it's like, just like,
So like are like film like contests and film festivals, are they just going to be inundated with absolutely so much crap now? Like, I mean, I've run into people, right? They're like, I always wanted to write a script. I dropped it into AI. Will you read it? And you're like, well, that's going to take some time, right? It's going to take me way longer to read it and then correct it than
it's
it
like,
is going to
come up with
for
a
all
premise.
that.
It's like come up with a
Exactly.
premise and then like, me personally, I would say like use it as a guide. Like use it as something that can help you. Maybe how do I get to 3-act structure, right?
Right. Yeah.
If I know like what my first act's going to be, how am I going to get to act 2? And maybe you just need a little help bridging that gap. Maybe
that's
my
the way-
ending. Somebody tells you like, maybe my ending sucks. Like, all right, how can I
Yeah.
change my ending? Like,
That is like cool to think
And
about.
you want to use it as a tool, not a crutch. That's the thing.
Right.
It should be used to get you from one to the other. Like even in my software development, we're using it just to bridge some gaps to get like the first draft of software so you don't have to hire 12 other people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to take it for what it is and just put it in production. That's not
right.
good.
Everything. Yeah.
You don't just go, hey, this guy built it, let's throw it out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'll work. I just worry about how easy it will be, because then stuff's like, I feel like
Still
when you
gotta have,
make,
listen, you still gotta have talent.
yeah.
I mean, you remember the whole argument, just like you brought
That's
up film,
true.
just like you brought up film versus
Yeah.
digital, and you used to get into that whole discussion. There was, I can't remember what I can't remember the name of the documentary, but that was the biggest argument. Like, film's dead because it costs too much to produce, it costs too much to develop, it costs too much to this now.
Yeah.
So we're not making motion pictures anymore with. I mean, there's a select like Quentin Tarantino won't make a film
Without it.
on it. Paul Thomas Anderson like won't do it without shooting on film. But that's like 2, and they're who they are. They have that right. They
have
can
the
do whatever.
clout, they have the money.
Right. They can do whatever they want. Anybody else is like. I remember an interview. David Lynch had just passed away, and he was like, "I would never in my life go back to film. I don't care how much they paid me or anything else." He was like, "I would never go back to film." But that was always the argument then, was like, oh, now anybody can do it. And it's like, yeah, it's true. Anybody can always do anything. It doesn't mean it's good. or you have to watch it. Or you have to watch it. Like,
it was almost something when you got like, we watched the movie last week where it was like, it was impressive that they got that many people to show up for such a unique idea.
Like,
is what we'll call
you
it.
talk about that, and then like, look how much of a phenomenon Sharknado was.
Yeah.
Like, and they made what, like 5 of them?
Yeah.
Or something,
Yeah.
5 or 6 or something like that. Stupid as hell. But it caught on, and each one got a bigger budget, got more features and stars and stuff in it that weren't in them before, and everything. Everybody wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Right? And then it became this thing where it was like, okay, now I'm glad that's over, but we moved on to something else. That's like everybody makes fun of Tubi. And they go, oh, what is it? No.
See, I like Tubi because I'm a horror fanatic. So for me,
right.
I'm
but
in.
Tubi's library is so deep. Plus, again, people like us, if we make a movie, we can get it distributed on Tubi for pretty much like no, for good or bad. There's no real filter or no anything to filter stuff out. But you have an opportunity there where you didn't have before, and they pay you. So even if the stuff gets views or anything else, it's totally changed the whole way we distribute films and everything else. I mean, yeah, you could finish something and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was always a thing.
Yeah,
right? And it's still a thing.
Yeah.
But now you have this other thing that's actually going to pay you as well that you could go. Yeah. So just create whatever you want. Like, and that's kind of like.
And it kind of has a natural filter to it, I guess, because if you're not getting views, it's not getting shared, and
right, and you're not.
It'll
Nobody's
filter itself out like it always has, but it obviously just
and
creates
you see clips and stuff on there,
more
and they go, "Oh God, people gotta stop." I'm like, look, they finished something.
Yeah.
Like that's always my biggest argument when they go, "Oh, it sucks." It might, but that's your opinion.
Yeah.
They worked hard on it, regardless of the turnout of it, and it might be one of the worst films up, but they still finished it.
Yeah.
Hey, Birdemic Shock and Terror is the best, and it needs an AI upgrade.
Just run it through, right? Just
Right?
just
just
upscale
upgrade
it,
it a little
upscale it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just make the legal look a little bit
It'll
real.
be fine. It'll be fine. They just needed some AI in there.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. We'll remake them all. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and you can add
AI
more
just like
birds and-
overlay on top of it, like.
But that's the thing. The other thing, too, is most of the horrible movies become that cult classic because people were like, I can't believe they actually put this out, or I can't believe they got away with this kind of thing.
Yeah,
What,
but
Plan 9 from Outer Space
look
was all-
at even films that didn't like Scarface is always one.
Yeah.
Scarface was like made no money when it came out, got terrible reviews, all this and that, and it's like one of the most popular films. And it's like hard to imagine like that coming out and everybody going, "This is ridiculous! Like, what is this? It's so violent. It's so this. It's so that. Like, why is Al Pacino Cuban? Like, all these things you could say, and then now it's like so revered and so like." But plenty of movies that are like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars, right? Took forever for him to get made. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
sound good until he did get it made. Are you Star Wars or Star Trek or both? Or neither?
A little bit of both. Star Wars
okay.
films I grew up watching, not the old stuff, but like Next Generation,
Oh,
and like
okay.
Deep Space Nine. So like the stuff
Okay.
in the '90s was like my
Yeah. Okay. But Star Wars?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because I went to, this was like sacrilegious, and I didn't know that. I went to Full Sail without seeing Star Wars.
I
You
worked
see,
for
I
a
got
vid-
that look
Oh, man.
pretty much like.
Dude,
Oh,
I
man.
worked for a video store without seeing it, and they gave me that look. They were like, "You
Yeah.
get free rentals."
Like,
asshole.
what?
I can't like
I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was the Bible. I didn't know.
it's not even so much that it's that when you get the whole story of how it even got made in the first place, and it's
All right,
also and there's
all
some
right.
of those like that. Like I'm a huge I'm a huge horror fan.
Yeah.
So like the story of Nightmare on Elm Street is similar
Yeah.
to that one in a lot of ways because they like bankrolled like everything, and if that failed, New Line Cinema was out of business. Like you probably would have never gotten anything Wes Craven would have done ever again, and pretty much that was Johnny Depp's first feature
Yeah.
that you would have never seen anywhere else. But they had to roll the dice on this.
Yeah.
And Star Wars, like say, they put so much into it, and if that would have failed, it would have been a huge financial disaster. But
Yeah.
it massive hit, and you're still getting all these iterations and sequels
Yeah.
and all the and the merchandising and everything that you don't think of.
Especially now that Disney owns
I was
it.
gonna say Disney
Yeah.
owns it
They
now.
just like crank that shit up.
Yeah.
But it was just every class I went into, right? It was like,
But it's like
I
The
needed to
Godfather. It's
see
like
that.
how many
And
people
then it
say
made
that
me
they never
hate
saw
it.
The Godfather.
Yeah.
And then you have to
Yeah.
look, and then you have to look at him. I'm like, are you? How can you tell me that you love films and you've never seen The
Seen one of the
Godfather
better-
1 and
yeah.
2? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
You can skip the third one.
You can. I it's one of those ones too. It's not even a love hate thing. It's just again when you have 1 and 2, it just pales in comparison. It's
Yeah.
not that it's a bad movie. It's just that it
Not even a
happens to
bad
be.
story. Yeah. It's
No, it
just-
just happens to be part 3 of
you're
like.
trying to build up from blockbuster, and it's still
Yeah, but part 2 is like
yeah.
the story and everything and the acting is everything. And have you seen The Godfather?
The first one, I didn't see the second one.
Okay.
I've seen all 3.
So you're terrible.
I'm fucking.
You're like my
no,
friend.
See, that's
You're
what I
like
got
my
when I went
friend
to
who-
Full Sail.
But
When I
you're
was
my
like, my
friend who
favorite
doesn't
movie is
say
300,
wrestling.
and they're like, get the fuck out.
Right.
And I'm like,
See, I would've
I
told you to
paid
say-
my $60,000. I'm staying. All right.
I would have told you the same thing. Like, yeah, like no, what?
Good. See, I
We're
feel
not gonna have.
perfect.
Yeah, that's.
fuck it.
Oh man, that's
See,
rough.
my thing was like,
That's rough.
I mean, I know, and I respect the cinematography of the movie. That's why I like lighting
Not
and
even that,
camera.
but go on. Yeah.
Right, that's my thing. I didn't want to ask you, but I don't want to drag it right? This will fucking bury me under the fucking
Lighting
table.
is this
Yeah, we
thick.
are. This is terrible.
This is right.
terrible.
You're gonna throw me out. It ain't called the movie podcast. I'm just good.
Hey,
at
but that's
bitching.
how we got here. But we're complaining about you not watching shit.
That's
like,
fine.
yeah.
That's
Exactly.
fine. We complain about
Yeah.
whatever. It's
But he'll
fine.
watch Peaky Blinders 36
It's a
hours.
good fucking.
Right, and we'll give the Godfather the 3 hours of dessert.
And the funny thing is, if you go back to the other
Ah.
episodes to watch, that's what our argument was, is that I'll make him watch horrible movies that would be featured on like Tubi for an hour and a half.
but that's even like, okay. So my film school as a child was USA and all the things that you probably weren't allowed to see. I was always privileged, and I always give my mom full credit for this. She let me watch anything.
Yeah.
When stuff would come up, she would go, "Oh, cover your eyes," if there was nudity or anything else. But the violence and everything, but we'd have discussions about it and say, like, you know, this is like Nightmare on Elm Street, my favorite film. Mm-hmm. We would see Robert. That's Robert Englund. That's Freddy. That's Freddy. Yeah, and then and explain. And I feel like a lot of times when people say this stuff about the fake violence and stuff, this wasn't what it was. We didn't go to Blockbuster. We could segue back to that, but we didn't go to Blockbuster as a kid. We had a rental store, Bookland.
Yeah.
And all the tapes at Bookland were $1. So they were far cheaper and you could keep them longer. We would go and get stacks.
Yeah.
And that was like the entertainment for the week. I mean, when I tell you I saw every Jackie Chan movie, every Kung Fu, every horror film, everything was out, every sequel to everything. But that's what we did. And it taught you like those different, so when people always go, "Oh, well, this is shit," or this is, it's like, look, I just had this discussion yesterday with one of my best friends. And I told him, he was like, "Why, like, did you see The Monkey yet?"
Yeah, I loved it.
Right. Fucking loved it. He goes, "Oh, I got panned by the critics." Okay. Turn your brain off for an hour and a half and just immerse yourself into something that's enjoyable. Like, stop with the over-criticization. Like, yeah, it's not going to win any awards or anything like that, but it was fun. It was a good time.
It was different.
So you're not going to
I haven't
compare...
seen it, so I can't help.
Well, you didn't see anything. Like, you're not going to compare The Monkey to The Godfather 2 and put them in the same category.
No, not at all.
But that's the problem sometimes when you get into these conversations. They go, "Well, that was terrible." Why? Because some asshole like on Twitter said it was. Like, yeah, my favorite film last year was Longlegs. Like,
I loved Long Legs.
saw it in the theater, saw it on... See, we just...
I work too much.
I don't want to hear that. I had 3 jobs, friend. I don't want to hear it.
That was the only excuse I got. I'm running out of excuses.
Yeah, you're running out of excuses. Look.
I make his wife watch all the movies with me, and then she tells him which ones he has to watch too. So I mean, she's watched every A24 film with me. I think
Right.
you watched X. That was the only
That
one
was
you
the only
watched
one
with
because she
us.
forced me. She tied me
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
tickled the shit out of me.
But there's all these things that come out where it's like sometimes it gets even harder sometimes to watch these like epics. Like I haven't seen what's the Adrian Brody film that was like 4 hours long?
Brutalist?
The Brutalist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just haven't got to it yet. And the Killers of the Flower Moon. Wanted to watch that, but it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
That's where I say I don't have time because that's like right now 4 hours to invest into one thing. You can watch it over a period of time, but
Nah, you don't
Yeah.
get the same feel when you
you
do
don't
that.
get the same feel when you do that.
Yeah.
But some stuff like needs to get broken up. Like what was the Jimmy Hoffa movie that was on Netflix? That Al Pacino and De Niro and I know you know what I'm talking about. You probably didn't see that.
I know what I
did. You
I
see
know
that
what
one?
you're
Did you
talking-
watch that
I
one?
didn't- I thought I watched half of that one though.
And that was
I
good.
forget the
But
name
that was
of it
like,
though.
I
That was
remember-
like a year or two ago.
I don't think I
a
watched
little
it.
longer than that, but it was
it?
good.
Was it
Yeah.
longer
That
than
was the Scorsese one where the Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I watched it.
Great
though.
No, I
movie.
thought I
remember
watched
it.
But
at least half.
It
if
was
not the
like
whole
4
thing.
hours. Great movie.
Oh
though, but
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the rewatchability just comes back to like when am I going to have 4 hours again just to stop and
Yeah.
and that's
I
what most
still
of
got my
the stuff
double
is.
VHS Titanic at the house. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, back
I
in
got
the
one
day.
of them on the shelf too.
Busting
so
that out
something.
again.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad have it. I didn't bring it here. I don't have.
Sorry, look, long
That's what I should
tangent.
do, put it
Long
back.
tangent on that, but just to get
They're all
to,
tangents.
I know, but just to get to you, it's like, what is your problem? Why are you? Why are you not? Why are you sitting here saying
I like-
300
I
is your
like-
favorite film? What
That
is
has
wrong-
changed.
What is wrong
but
with
that
you,
was
sir?
in school.
What is wrong with you, sir?
Lots of things.
Well, and he's
I just
rewatching-
liked. I liked when I
rewatching
watched
Peaky
movies.
Blinders.
Like people were like Transformers sucks. I'm like that was fun to watch.
And again, I just had the same. I'm going back to the conversation I just had because we watched Fast 10, like awful, right?
Yeah.
Fucking awful.
Oh, is
But
that
it
the new
was
Fast
fun.
and Furious?
But it was fun, right?
Fast X, yeah.
Right, but it was fun. It's
Oh yeah,
fucking
it had some
terrible.
stupid shit.
But we laughed. Did we not? Did we not laugh and have a good time? I'm pointing at my son who's off camera. Like it was terrible. And his sister sat there and they jumping out of cars and moving it.
And he goes to the other car.
Right, ridiculous. And they're going 120 miles an hour. Stupid as hell. But we laughed and we enjoyed it. We had a
Yeah.
good time. Would I watch it again? Of course not. can't wait till the next one comes out though, because
Yeah.
we're gonna
Right.
we're gonna watch it and we're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
But
so my
I get
argument
that.
is I enjoyed movies in a different way than pretty much everybody in film school, right?
But that's where you're gonna get those people.
Oh,
that are
yeah.
that are gonna tell you about Jim Jarmusch and the Coen brothers, and they're gonna sit there and they're gonna beat you to death.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
all these like indie directors and like everything else, and why Tarantino's a guy, but everybody realizes he's a fraud. Like once you get older, that's okay. It's okay because everything he does, he just steals from everybody else. It's fine.
Yeah.
We love him though. I mean, still never made a bad film. But they're going to tell you things like that and then shit on you because you like Michael Bay films. That's not like
Pretty much.
Right.
Loud, big booms, big
Right.
explosions. That
Right.
shit took somebody some time.
Right.
That shit looked
Right.
fucking real.
And I agree
right?
with you.
You
And
make me
that's what
watch
I'm
fucking
saying.
Velociraptor over here
Right.
with a fucking guy in a costume, and you're like, you enjoy that, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So I get it.
and I agree with you 100%. And that's why I'm saying all this to say like just watch what you want to watch. But with all these different outlets like we got to, and there's so much way you can consume things. Like over the holidays was great because I wanted to watch all the Silent Night, Deadly Night
Oh,
sequels.
they're great.
Like, but I still haven't got to 5. This is what like
Oh, yeah?
Didn't you make me watch one of those?
Mickey Rooney's the star of 5.
Yeah.
Probably none of you probably know who Mickey Rooney is. God bless you. But they made 5 of them, and I remember that was another thing my mom was saying. I remember her and her friend. She's lived across the street. She passed away, and she was telling me like when they went and saw the original one, how scared they were like when they went home, and they were just because it was in the vein of Halloween and Friday the 13th and all these,
Yeah.
and it was just like a killer Santa Claus, but it was one of the better slashers of the
Yeah.
80s.
You made me watch that.
I did make you watch
You made
that.
me watch
I
that.
did.
So I have seen that one at least.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Or did you make me watch the second one?
I made
Second
you
one's
watch the
good,
first and the second one.
I thought so. Yeah. Well, I don't remember. They were equal.
Usually around Christmas time, I make you watch all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff
you
because
do.
I've made you watch Rare X.
And then I'm off work more,
and everything.
so
So.
then-
Yeah, and then we
Yeah,
sat and
you
watched
totally take advantage of that.
the Black Christmas remake was on
Oh,
TV. Loved
which
that.
one, though?
The remake, the
new?
2006 one.
Okay, I was gonna say the new 2009 was.
Yeah, I didn't care for that one too much.
2006 with Billy in the
2006
attic.
yes,
Yeah, that's
yes,
my favorite.
Love that.
The
love that one.
Weinstein.
So we watched that, and then the part 3 of Silent and Deadly Night, like
Yeah.
the day after Christmas this year. So that was,
My friends, Fuzz and Doug, are going to love you bashing the shit out of me. They're like, oh, another one to add to the fire.
That's
This is-
the part of this.
Doug's going to be in the comments. I fucking told you so.
but you see, that's the thing though, because you
Yeah.
can still like the 90s had this great, like just spirited of like independent film, where you had those guys like Kevin Smith that were making
Yeah.
things that weren't conventional. And then these names are escaping. I said like Jim Jarmusch and what's my man that made the Royal Tenenbaums? Help me out here.
What's his name?
See, I'm getting too old too. I can't remember people's names and shit, and it fucks up the conversation. But
I'm trying to remember because the Royal Tenenbaums has been that
like
long.
Bottle Rocket, he made Bottle Rocket, and that was they always has like Owen Wilson and
Didn't he do the Grand Budapest Hotel
yes,
too?
yeah.
Oh, I don't
yeah.
know.
Wes
Seen
Anderson?
that.
Wes Anderson. Yeah.
I was like, I'm trying to remember.
So you had like all those, and then like how they grew, but they were able to keep making things. Like the Coen Brothers, their catalog is like insane. Like when you go from, and they've covered like every genre. Their first film, Blood Simple. You ever see Blood Simple?
Yep.
Blood Simple is fucking amazing, but it's a horror movie. It's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. It's a horror movie that plays in this different vein of like Silence of the Lambs or something you would see that came a couple years after. But then they've made Raising Arizona and Big Lebowski that are some of the most heralded comedies. And then No Country for Old Men, like, is amazing. And everything that, like, what was the True Grit? Like,
Yeah, he
just
did True Grit.
all over, like westerns and the comic, like everything under the sun. But those are people like that like your friends will probably tell you, like, if you're not watching their films, like, what do you know? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
I did watch all of those.
Yeah.
like
So
most
we
of
watch
them.
all our garbage too. Like, it's okay.
Oh yeah, we watch plenty
okay.
of garbage.
Yeah.
My favorite garbage to watch, and I've made him watch it and everybody else, Kung Fu Hustle with the English dub over top.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's the best.
Yeah, the dub, but I read slow.
You can't
so I
read,
can't
so
do
I had
that,
to
right?
read.
I read slow as shit. If it's subtitles in something else, you might give me a
Just-
fucking book then.
Well, all right. So,
It's a picture book, fuck that.
So let's segue to that because you
Yeah,
guys wanted to
let's
ask
go.
me about Blockbuster. So
Yeah.
you should be a store manager at Blockbuster. So you want to tell me one of the wildest things that people used to come in all the time. So Tuesdays was new release day for like DVDs and Blu-rays and
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah, back in the day.
So we used to get people that would just come in and blindly just grab things off the shelves, right? Just come in.
Really?
Yeah.
If it had a yellow new release
If it was
sticker on
new,
it,
they'd grab it.
They would just grab it. So we used to have this thing called the Movie Pass, and it was like either $20 or $30 if you got 1 or 2 DVDs at a time, and you had unlimited swap outs. So you could come in 8, 9, whatever, how many times a day, keep swapping them out.
Almost like
And
the
that
Netflix of its day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk in. Hey, I watched this one. Return it. Get another one. Get 2 more. Whatever. People would come back because they would just blindly grab. If it said new release, they would just grab it. They'd come back.
It's not even in English.
This is like in German or something. Okay, and then you pick it up and you're like, yeah, like it was made. It's like, why would they do that? And you're sitting there and they're trying to have an honest conversation with people. You're going like, other countries make films. Like other countries, I know it's America. I get it, it's America. But other countries make films. And you're talking about DVDs where most of the time you had a dub track or something like that. But that was like, pun intended.
For the people throwing it back down.
And it's like, pun intended, that was foreign to them, but they couldn't get like, that was a good one. But they couldn't grasp that. It was like, and would get pissed, like visibly upset. Like, well, you didn't tell me that. I'm like, well, look at the girl on the front cover. Does she look like she's around here for you? Like, they're Japanese. What language do you think they speak, sir? Like, what? Why are you upset?
They match half your pornos on the shelf. Why didn't you recognize that?
So it got to the point where it was like, you wouldn't necessarily credit them because most of the time they were getting the stuff, they were more compensating their time.
Mm-hmm.
But they would come in and we'd have to start telling people, okay, this was made in Sweden. It's just, I don't want that. And then the mistake, the common thing, like you just said, was like, why would you want to read a movie? Like,
and it's funny because I worked at Blockbuster in Hollywood, and you got to the point where you're like, this guy is not going to want this movie because he's going to have to read it.
Yeah, and people were, and it was like in the small change in technology. It was like you had like the VHS went away. People would still come in and get pissed, like in the mid 2000s that you didn't have like tapes anymore, and none of the new movies were being released on tape. So you had to have those discussions. Then when we started getting Blu-rays and like
HD DVD.
Yeah, and HD. We didn't really carry HD DVDs though, because remember that kind of came and went.
Yeah, that phased out pretty quick.
So, but people would grab Blu-rays and not have a Blu-ray player. Best line ever. It had Blu-ray tag at the top. It said, you have a Blu-ray player at home? Puzzled look. My DVD player is black.
I haven't heard that.
And then you just scrape it off to say, I'm going to go get you the DVD.
Let me get you the right thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go get you the DVD. No,
you kept a straight face?
You have to. Like, professionalism's everything, man. Like, professionalism. Now, when they left, shit.
Tell everybody about it.
Man. Yeah, we're in the back.
I'm going to be on a podcast 20 years from now.
Right, telling you about this lady that
telling you about it.
Yeah, I was like, no, my DVD player's black. Like, it was just so like, oh, wow.
We got special discs for that.
Yeah,
She's like, if I get a can of spray paint, will it work?
No, it's like, no, ma'am. Just forget it. It's okay. And they would just look at like so confused, but it was simple things like that. It was still one of the most funnest jobs I've ever had. Just
I enjoyed it. I do miss it because I miss the people because they were interesting.
Yes.
Because
and discussions like this because
you
would have slower days like during the week and people would come in and 300 was their favorite movie. And
Transformer Joe is on his way. Let's go. This is going to be
good. Like, hey, Joe, you want to watch this movie over here? You don't even have to read it.
Right. I'm the fucking printer from Office Space right now.
Yeah, it's like there's just explosions after explosions. You'll love it. You'll love it, sir. You'll love it. There's cars blowing up. You don't even have to pay attention.
Yeah, Joe, if you're looking for a good movie, The Cleaner's really good.
Yeah. It's just shit just blowing up, and you don't have to know anything. Like, no, but those are always best because like it just it brings you to where we are today because you have to understand like that's how like ignorant sometimes like, people could be.
Is, yeah.
It's like
America. I mean,
I know, but the extreme ignorance though, of like you seeing a bunch of people on a front cover that like clearly aren't American, and you're upset that they don't speak English. Like, okay,
like you're looking at the cover of Audition. Like, I bet you this is in English.
Did we give them permission?
Yeah.
Did we give them permission to make movies?
Right.
Over there?
Yeah. Like, what are they really doing over there?
Right. We sent an aircraft carrier over to fix that. Right.
Brokeback Mountain comes out.
Oh, I remember Brokeback Mountain. I remember the
We would get
controversies
phone
behind
call.
that.
We would get phone calls.
What?
Yeah.
We get phone calls.
People would rent it and then call you and complain about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you made the movie?
yeah.
Like it was your
Like,
fault?
also, you let them
you-
walk out with
Yes.
it without explaining to them what they were about
Yeah.
to watch.
One phone
What,
call.
were you
was
supposed
like,
to have a sticker?
We
Yeah.
got a phone call. Guy calls in. You know, thank you for calling Blockbuster. How can I help you? And he goes, my daughter was just in there about 40 minutes ago. You're like, okay, yeah, everything okay? Yeah, she rented Brokeback Mountain. Why in the hell would you all let her leave with that? I'm like, sir, like I'm not telling anybody what they can and can't watch. Like, what are we doing here? I don't want that shit in my house. Like, all right, well, I mean, you don't have to watch it. I'm like, and I'm sitting there like because. Right, professionalism, right? And
Yeah,
you're
you
looking-
gotta
and
like
you're on the
hold it
phone-
up.
Yeah, and you're on the phone with this guy like, I don't know what to say to you right now. Like, I get it. Not your cup of tea. That's fine. No problem. But why are you attacking me?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, yeah, we used to get calls like they would call and ask for a movie. Okay, hang up the phone. Call back later. A couple minutes later. Who's this? This is Blockbuster. Oh, my girl just called this number. Okay.
What?
Like somebody's cheating on them.
Yeah, like
Because they call and be like, do you have this
multiple
movie?
times, and it's
What?
happened like I'm telling you, all the time.
I
was a
forgot about
common,
that.
Yeah, that was a common thing. Like,
What?
yeah, Star 69, put
Oh,
Blockbuster.
back in the day, I forgot
Probably don't
about
even remember
that.
that. Yeah, it's, dating ourselves again.
Yeah.
But yeah, they call a store up and be like, "Well, who's this?" And you tell them your name, and they go, "Did you call my girl?" What? Like, what? Like,
I had that before
I
because
was
we
like-
used to call for late fees and stuff.
correct.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
if people like we used to like when the DVDs and stuff were there because it's hard to miss a tape, but they would just bring the cases back
Yeah.
with no disc inside.
and you got to call and say, hey, you brought
So you
back
you brought the
nothing in it.
case back, but you bring the disc, and they would like, and arguments would ensue sometimes. I had that, and you would hear them, and this would be like you would hear them open it, and they would open it, and you could hear that sound that the tray would make. Yeah, like oh, it's here. I know it is because it's not in the case.
My favorite.
Oh, somebody there must have stolen it.
My favorite argument, though, was when I worked at Hollywood Video, we would get movies from Blockbuster and all the other
Yes.
places around.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you'd call these people, if you knew sometimes that they returned other movies with them, you'd be like,
Yeah.
hey, you returned this movie, but it's for another place. And they'd be like, can't you just take it there? And I'm like,
No, no.
I don't work for Blockbuster.
It's your responsibility, sir.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And they're
no.
like, you're going to make
And
me
he's
come
not-
get it?
He's not. Yeah, he's not exact. We would have bags sometimes. We'd have
No.
a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
They would get dropped off
in
like a month
Shrewsbury,
later.
like we were there, and then the Hollywood Video was on top of the hill.
Yeah.
And we'd have a stack, and we wouldn't do it every day, but we would, courtesy enough, we would make
Once
the
a
trip
month or
over there
so,
like
yeah.
once a week or yeah.
So, like, did you, like, hey, when you take that back, there's like a $5 late fee. If you cover that too, like,
But again, that was like the
That was their expectation.
their
They're like, I
expectation.
dropped it off at a box. It didn't
Right.
matter if it was the right box. You get it to the right place.
FedEx-
I put it in the return.
FedEx, UPS, man. It's all the same.
Yeah, it
it's
don't
all-
matter.
It's all the same.
That's why they made them such different
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
Trying to
Exactly.
help.
It's all the same.
Yeah, for sure. So, did you guys rewind the tapes? I have to know. Like, if somebody didn't be quiet,
Yes.
be kind, and
had-
rewind, did
When
you
I
guys have
started
to
when
do
I
that?
started working there, it was literally the last month we carried VHS tapes.
Oh, okay.
So we had the last release that we carried, if I'm remembering this correctly, was King Kong.
Yep.
Peter Jackson's King Kong.
That was the last one. Yep.
That was the last one that we carried in a
now
history.
you know
of
I saw
violence.
that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Big monkey
Big
climbing.
monkey
shit.
climbing-
Come
yeah,
on now. All right.
bombs and so, yeah, it's your cup of tea.
Did you ever see Brain Dead though?
No,
Peter Jackson?
see, he doesn't know. See, he don't know game.
Did
He
anything
don't know
blow
ball.
up?
He
Yeah.
don't know ball. Like he don't like. Yeah,
What are you guys
Peter
talking
Jackson's
about?
first movie. man.
Yeah.
Half this podcast has been in another language.
Dead
for me.
alive.
right. It's yeah. You're reading this now, going like. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You're gonna cuss him out. You're like, yeah, fucking guy. When he comes,
Who the fuck did you
fucking
bring
think
over
he is?
here?
Yeah, asshole. Tell me I don't know about. Yeah, tell me I never saw Godfather 2.
So
Did you rewind them?
yes, at
Okay.
Hollywood we had rewinders and we had to put them in there. But I'll tell you what, they got eaten more in those rewinders than they do in VCRs sometimes.
Those things are probably like 20 years old.
Hell
Did
yeah.
you have like
too.
super rewinders? Or
They weren't super. They were just the same.
they were just a piece of shit
They were the
that
same
everybody
ones
else
we'd
had?
sell you to take home. We just grab them off the
Yeah,
shelf
they
when it
did have
died.
them. Yeah, they did have them in the back. They were like $20. Yeah.
Yeah, we just throw them out there and just
I always wondered.
off again.
So it was being kind to you guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Didn't sound like anybody else was. So got a little bit of time left here, so I wanted to dive into the SWO stuff. If
Yeah,
you
I know we
want
want to talk about the wrestling.
because I've done videography, shoot stuff on the I shot one wrestling event in my career, and that was really fun. So I was curious,
we got there.
what got you into the whole SWO thing? Do you just like doing it? Is it how do you?
Yeah.
SWO is a local wrestling
Susquehanna
organization
Wrestling
for us. Yeah,
Organization,
Susquehanna
yes.
Wrestling
Yeah.
Organization. I would love to get somebody on the show from there, but we'll see.
Just corner them at the next show.
Yeah.
And then just tell them.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
going
they're like
next.
tiny little people that like don't look like they
Yeah,
throw
just push 'em-
giant men around.
push
I
'em
think,
around. So
yeah,
listen,
my
stop-
5-foot ass, I'll
listen,
be fine.
Stop being. Why are you intimidating? Because they're bigger than you? Like, come on.
Just tell them 300 your favorite movie.
Right,
right.
Okay.
Right, get on my podcast and
So-
kick them.
Yeah, well, I guess, again, for the career, it's like, long story short. So he started doing photography professionally for about 6 years. The other company that we own and operate, Washington Winona Images. And
Okay.
when I do mainly the sports and the wrestling and some of the stuff of my own, it's the Curb Media Group. So when I'm representing at SWO, I'm representing myself as a member of the Curb Media Group. And started doing professional wrestling photography early, like 2019. And it's hard. It's very hard. As constant motion, constant anything. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. As anybody that would watch this, they would know, or goes to the shows know.
Yeah.
But we started doing football and basketball photography and, taking action shots and everything else. And we started doing wrestling at first for Valor Pro Wrestling and CCW.
Okay.
Out of that, we made a documentary, followed BJ Walker around. I don't know if you ever remember BJ Walker. He used to wrestle at SWO, early in his career. That's where he got started. And we followed him around for a few months, and that's what kind of got me into just photographing the matches and everything else. But it took a while to develop a style from that, and then also know what you're looking for. So if you know professional wrestling, you can kind of anticipate what's gonna happen. If you know the moves and being around the guys, sometimes you still miss stuff because it's nothing's perfect in pro wrestling. But I was doing just did pro for them for 2 years, and we still do shows for them. Pro Wrestling Empire was in Harrisburg, started doing shows for them, and Three Legacies Wrestling over in Lancaster. And then we got kind of I wouldn't say exclusive, but almost exclusive with SWO, maybe about a year and a half ago. And I was looking today because I was showing my son some footage. They have an event coming up in May, the Reynolds Rumble. And I had shot a bunch of stuff there last year, video-wise. I just didn't really do anything with yet. So Nate, that's one of the bookers here that wrestles under Ace Dallas.
Yeah.
Thank you. My brain's not working tonight. Wrestles under Ace Dallas. He's a school teacher, and that's the school that he's at, and they have a big event there every year. It's one of the most passionate because the kids are just so crazy, but they pack the place out. It's wonderful. But I had all this footage from there. I never really did anything with. But I was going through that stuff today and realizing how long I've been doing it for them. But we had made a simple agreement with them about the content we produce and the photos and the video. So we do the matches. We do a hard cam setup. Do a roaming cam, so we cover all the action in the matches wherever they are in and out, and then do still photography for them.
Yeah.
Shoot promos. A lot of times they use for their social media to promote the event or recap the events, and we've been doing that pretty heavy for them for every month. Yeah.
Seems like a lot of fun. The one I did, I was just the side cam on the side, and it was a bigger event. But it was so fun. But I never saw the finished product. Maybe I sucked. I don't know. But it seems like
What
a ton
you'll
of fun
find-
because
what
being
you'll
right
find-
up on the
Well-
ring and I'm also being paid
Right.
That's what's
It
up.
makes it it makes it worth it. But you'll find too even, and this is not it's not speaking ill, but sometimes these guys you do shows for them. They don't even have anybody to edit the product or anything else. They just want the footage and whatever they do with it afterwards, whatever they do afterward. They themselves, their whole team, and most of the local professional wrestling companies in the area do the work themselves. So either the promoter does it or one of the wrestlers like has another talent. Like they'll make the posters. Like I don't edit the shows anymore.
Okay.
Like I'll give them like all the footage, and then
So you're filming, giving it to them. They're doing all
they
the
put all the
editing and
matches
that
together, and then
Oh,
add the
really?
stuff to it. Yeah, and then they do the. I mean, I
Is it one of the wrestlers that edits? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, editing's not. If you're doing stuff that has like like coloring and timing and everything, but actual editing itself is not hard. I'd say it's just tedious.
Yes.
And
we
getting
had that
everything in
discussion. It was
there.
like- But they have somebody. They have a commentary team that does the commentary.
Yeah.
And they have full video production that we provide. They have photographs and everything to recap the event, and they put on a really good show.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's grown. I've seen it grow from like when we started with them, that they tell stories,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's one of the bigger things that they didn't do at first, but then they started to really change their focus to story driven. Like every month,
Characters and-
story-driven
Oh,
characters.
really? They didn't
stable.
start with that.
I mean, they may have and I'm not saying because I
Wow.
wasn't there forever in a day, but I'm saying for like when we
Yeah.
started with them, it was kind of, you might have some guy coming in, the matches kind of seem like a little thrown together, but now everything has like a reason. So like you're
There's a little
doing this.
animosity,
There's that, you
rivals.
have rivalries, you have different things. Now they always have rivalries and stuff where a lot of guys would work together and stuff or work off each other. But now they have, they have stables, or they have two different stables there now that are both heel stables, and then you kind of have like the SWO, like True,
Or,
like True that they are fighting against these two evil factions and these other people. We've had twists. We've had people turn that were lifelong baby faces in the company. For babyface turns mean they're a good guy, and then they turn heel.
Yep.
And just that whole thing. We were there. Who was it that went? Zach Carlucci, who doesn't.
Okay, yeah.
He was like the on-air,
The original
like,
owner.
of the company. So they did a storyline where the new Prophets of Sin did a match against the SWO True, and then if the Prophets of Sin won, Zach Carlucci had to go.
Yeah.
And Zach Carlucci's team lost. I had never seen people that angry before. Like
We were there.
I was
setting.
there.
We watched the guy throwing the chair at
Yeah,
the ring.
yeah. He threw a chair, hit Greg in the leg, and the profanity and the expletives that were flying like during that time. But but you gotta remember, like people are so passionate about this.
Yeah.
Stuff. And when you go deeper into pro wrestling, you said like sometimes people would get stabbed, like in other countries, and stuff would be thrown at them, and beer bottles and food and everything else spit on and stuff. So to have it happen like at a local level because of and that's what I'm saying, because you're just
I was new. Like,
Right.
I think that was the first show I took you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So-
the first one, and I'm like,
what
like
the hell's
I know,
going on?
like
Right.
I know it's a story. Like,
Yeah.
like
You're not-
like
but-
I'm not
There's another
like
term.
football. Like I know it's
Yes.
well, it's probably not planned, but like I'm watching Peaky Blinders. If somebody dies, I don't throw my chair at the TV.
Right, but you got to remember that's like where a reaction like that would happen. So this guy, like we sat there and I saw that guy hurl the chair in the ring,
Yeah.
and I was frozen for a second because I just couldn't believe that it happened there, and I was just like, dude, like you talk to these people, like they're so personable.
Yeah.
They come out and they talk to you before the show, intermission, like you had the chance to walk up to them, talk to them, and everything, and you got that angry, or
Yeah.
a professional wrestling angle, in a local and
that was my first show.
But that means that everything they did was effective and they did it
Yeah.
well. So that's where I was like, a friend of mine that usually there, you see him, Charles, about 8 feet tall.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
always there. And he was, like, I turned around and his jaw was like, because they were dropping F-bombs and this and pointing and throwing things and food and like F you and F, and you're just like, wow. And we go in the back and they're like, well, we got some heat. And I'm like, but since then, every show we've had that they've had put on, more and more people are there.
Yeah, it's been packed.
And it's like, you can't, hopefully we're trying to, I've been trying to work on some things, try to get them in another place that knock whatever this is made out of, that we can make that happen. But we want them to expand. And I think that the product and stuff that they're doing and they're putting on deserves like a wider audience. So I was like, I wouldn't go there either, like if I didn't really believe in what they're doing, because then it kind of just becomes like,
I
you're
went
just
to one
doing
and
it
keep
just to
coming
do it.
back.
Right. That's.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
It's
do a
cheap.
good
Your
job.
kids
Yeah.
love it, and it's like I just had my cheap friend that I was telling you that shares the password sharing. He brought his son with him to the show last time because he's like one of those people too. He's a lifelong professional wrestling fan, but sticks his nose up at indie wrestling sometimes and goes, hey. But kid loved it.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we're coming back every month. I'm like, right. Pay $10 to get in.
Yeah, it's not
And
much.
Yeah.
10, $15 to get in, whatever it is. And then I was like, he had a hell of a time. Did you not? And I was like, did you not enjoy yourself? And he's like, I did. I'm like, right. So then, what are you complaining about?
Like when I took him, he had never been a wrestling fan before, so I took him to one. I paid for him and his wife's tickets, and I think every show I've taken you to, I pay for the tickets because I didn't want.
It's a good way to get me to show up.
I did not want the excuse to be that it's too expensive or I won't enjoy it for that much money. So I was like, just show up because for me, I get the money out of watching your reaction to it.
Yeah,
because you guys are like, why did he throw that chair? Like, he knows it's right.
Yeah. Well, we don't use the F word.
Yeah,
we don't use the F word, but. That is, but
I
to
said
you,
story.
Right? Of course you did. Yeah, it was like they never threw chairs and Transformers and threw that.
Right.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. When Bumblebee died the first time,
you felt it. Like,
I felt it. I didn't throw shit.
No, but like as somebody like you who comes in who doesn't, you didn't grow up watching wrestling or you don't really know.
I watched it a little bit as a kid. I just didn't commit.
Yeah, but you're not like every week like we are.
Yeah,
like every channel watching 5-6 different shows a week.
Yeah,
and. To see that happen to you, but that's the point. Like you want to draw these reactions out of people, or turn somebody else like yourself that wouldn't necessarily come. Now you're like, yeah, when's the next one?
Yeah.
So what draws you in more, the stories or the actual wrestling itself? If I can dive, we're going away from the videography stuff, but I mean, I have general questions in that way because I see it differently.
To me, it has to be a combination of both.
Okay.
Because there are people that can talk that can't necessarily put on, but then
a show,
right? But it's subjective. So there's people that are going to tell you like the biggest debate is like WWE and like AEW and like some of the indie stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's people that'll tell you like, oh, WWE sucks because all they do is talk or this, that, and the third, and then people tell you the AEW sucks because they don't do storylines; they just throw matches and stuff together. So that's kind of like the big like argument between the two. If you can find somewhere to like meet in the middle. Now WWE they have a show on like every night of the week, right?
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
what they're doing is like telling you different compelling like storylines. Like John Cena came back. Like the biggest thing was like John Cena turned heel.
He's a heel now. Yeah,
he's a heel now. He's a bad guy, right?
I don't even watch wrestling, and I saw that.
Right.
So it's that big
for like
that it
20 years. This guy was the ultimate like hugging, slapping five, like smiling, like did everything. And after all that time, he did one thing. That he turned his character completely around. He hasn't been physical at all. He had one match, and that was, when was that, in February?
Yeah, the Elimination Chamber.
So here we are in April. He hasn't had a match since then. He has a match against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. All they've done is talk.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't wrestled anybody else. He hasn't gone in there and done anything else, but he came out and gave you his why, his reasoning, his everything, that why he's doing this and why he's this way now.
Keep that story going, so you want to watch that WrestleMania. You want to see that showdown.
You want to see why they but and to their credit, they have so many people that are such big game. They don't need him every week like they used to.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
So even when that happened, like back 10, 15 years ago, that would have been Monday. He would have had to have been on TV.
Yeah.
He didn't show up for 3 weeks after that.
Yeah.
That is the new thing that they have that's nice, because I remember the Attitude Era, it was always you had the same five people
so
on
people
every
complain
week.
like about like one thing that they do is like they do long game stuff where they wait to pay stuff off.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes stuff might not happen for 5-6 months. You might forget about something. Rock made a gesture in October.
Yeah.
Came out, did this, and stuck his fingers up, and everyone's like, fuck is that? Like everybody online, all these podcasters, Twitter, that was a waste.
Seeing it on Facebook.
That was a waste. Well, stupid. It was that. He's in the ring with John Cena when he turns heel. John Cena looks at him and he goes, it takes one finger down and he has two. So 3, he goes from 3 to 2. And everybody goes, oh. Rock gets interviewed after the show. They know, like they're not insulting your intelligence anymore. They know that you're a fan, but you also know it's a program. And Rock tells you probably forgot about that. You probably thought that was for nothing, right? Yeah, I heard everything. I said it, yeah. But they long game stuff.
Mm.
You watch some of the other stuff, somebody shows up, they got to fight that guy tomorrow. There's no build up. There's no, it's like, bam, we got to get to it. And to turn some people off. So it's just a different dynamic. But it's like you watch that, just like we're talking about movies.
Yeah.
You watching Black Christmas or whatever you're watching, you know what you're getting when you get that.
I know exactly what I'm
You know what
getting.
you're getting when you get that. So you can't turn that on and complain about it because, all right, if I'm turning this on, I'm getting a bunch of guys flipping around and doing all this acrobatic shit. I might not care about it, but I know what's there. I turn this on, I got to listen, I got to pay attention. Because if I don't check back in another week or two, I'm lost. I don't even know. I'm totally out of it.
My kid keeps me up to date. She comes and tells me what's going on. Because she's watching it on Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, everything, and she's coming to tell me.
Yeah.
I'm just watching the pay-per-views.
Right.
Yeah. And for the longest time, that's how I was too until the Netflix change happened because I just
now
had
it's
cable.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you got to get going, but mind if I ask one more? And I don't know if it'll be because I want to know, like, okay, when Peaky Blinders stops filming, I can have a conversation with that actor about his character.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem the same in wrestling. Like that person is, if they're in front of a camera at all,
Kayfabe has to
they
stay.
are that person, and
Yes,
it's like,
but
well,
see,
can't
but
we
yes,
separate? Or I don't want to insult them, but
No, but yes and no now. So that is like the change. Like Vince McMahon went away.
I do remember, yeah.
And this is kind of this new era where they're more welcoming and inviting to having outside people like do interviews and things like that. Like Chris Van Vliet's show. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
I haven't watched that. No.
He does like full like hour-long interviews and stuff and asks about certain things that before would have been like totally like off topic. Like people have rumors and things like that they'll tell people about this and that, and they'll go right into it while they're active wrestlers. And they'll tell you about their life and their this and their that. You might get a little bit of character work like in between those interviews and stuff to be that, but they're, they call this like the reality era of wrestling. That these guys aren't really necessarily playing character. Like you don't have the Undertaker anymore or Kane or people that have powers and all that stuff. They're just themselves.
Yeah, they're just
And they're regular people.
wrestlers.
They're wrestlers, but
Yeah.
they're not like over the top, like, or they're not coming out in costumes or, things like that. So it does have that, like where you, like I was saying about The Rock, he'll leave and they do press conferences now after pay-per-views.
just like other
Like
sports.
full on, they'll have full on pressers before a show, after a show. They'll go, when they went to Netflix, they did a full press run where they were like full on long table, they're answering questions and everything. They would only do that for certain events, but everybody was in character the whole time. Now they're just coming, they're talking at it because you can't insult people's intelligence anymore. The curtain's been pulled back. Everybody knows everything, so it's...
But has that reached indie wrestling, or is it only...
I mean, of course.
Because that was my concern about bringing somebody on from the show, is like, I don't want to insult you, but
and again,
like,
and they
at
might
the same
have,
time...
and the beauty of that is, they might have a totally different perspective than what I'm saying. I'm not in the business.
Yeah.
So like that, but like, so that part of it is, I'm a fan. I work with them as far as like the stuff that I do photography-wise and everything. I've been to almost 1,000 indie shows in this area. Shot everybody. I've met all the people I've ever wanted to meet, like that, but they might have a different perspective. And they might say like, hey, but when you go to the show, they're personable. You can walk right up to them, touch them, talk to them and everything else, but they know how to work.
Yeah.
But that's the same with this. Like, there's a line but they're that person. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm generally curious, but I don't want to have to.
But that
put
was
on
what
a
made,
thing,
if you remember,
because that's what would bring me a little bit more into it. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
that was some of your favorites, like Steve Austin.
Yeah.
You just kind of take that person and just turn up a little bit, and that was the biggest thing. It was like he didn't come out in a cape or anything like that. He was just a guy. Like,
Just a regular
he
guy
was just a
drinking
guy.
beer.
Yeah, he just drank beer and cussed and still like.
Because I think both sides of it are cool, and I want to ask questions about both sides.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
if
he
they'd
was
be
talking
cool with
about
that,
Cena's like the same way. It was like he was just a guy. He just,
and I'm just a moron. Like that's why I like to ask questions. Like
and that's why you like 300.
exactly.
Well, I know you got to get going, but I had one question I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
because since you're doing the wrestling shows and all that, and we've been to a couple now, you almost got hit with a wrench. We watched somebody get hit with a table.
Have I ever been hit?
The door last time. Have you ever been hit? Have your camera ever been damaged? Have you watched somebody get hit?
Recently, I had a. They just put the video up too. It was funny because my camera got kicked like right after that, and he was holding the guy's legs, and I was doing both, like videoing and taking still photography. So this hand I'm punched in on his face, and the guy's legs after he took the pin and he extended his legs, kicked the camera, thing rolled, and when I tell you everything in me flinched, but it took the perfect bounce Because my biggest thing was as long as I don't break the lens, I'm
Yeah,
because that was a $900 lens. I'm like, as
the
long as I don't
lens
break
is
the
the most
lens,
expensive.
and it rolled right on there. And if you look at the body of the camera, it's like one little nick, like on the corner, like on the bottom where the extra battery's at. So it's not even the body. So it's not even the body. One time I got kicked in the face.
Oh, shit.
Oh man.
Not on purpose, and we made a big joke of it. If you go to Facebook for like last,
I was gonna say I think I did see it on Facebook at one point.
Ricardo Rodriguez, who owns Three Legacies Wrestling, used to be in WWE, and he was in a tag match at an SWO show with the dogs, and I was right beside him, like on the ring, and he came in and he kicked. I mean, he kicked the shit out of me. I was like. Ooh, and it was funny because we made a joke of it afterwards, and he was so apologetic, and I was like, "Dude, it's like I can take a kick, man." But he kicked the shit out of me. I mean, to the point where I'm tasting blood for. I'm like, teeth all in it, yeah. Like, yeah. But you have to pay attention, and it's even like that's what we were saying about earlier about like knowing and catching things. Like, you kind of got to be aware, but it's also been like you got to know when to move and I don't say this sound like you gotta be nimble. Like you gotta be at least
quick.
You gotta be quick. You gotta be able to move because
there's definitely times things don't happen that shouldn't. Yeah.
Right. And it's not everybody can, like you said, we don't use the F word. Yeah. Things are gonna happen. They're gonna jump, fly, spin. I mean, we went over like when I got there last time. Give me some. What are we gonna do? This and that. And they were going over stuff. Yeah. So then when they go do it, they did it on the opposite side that they told me they were gonna do it. So I didn't get it. And it was like I was like. You told me over here. So I'm like, I see them all compressed, and by the time they all congested to the one side, I couldn't get behind them. So it was like,
yeah.
All right, we missed that. But yeah, sometimes you just have to, or the guys know too. They'll push you out the way.
Yeah.
They'll like, you got to move, like, and they'll push you out the way. I did PW show, and they did a ladder match, and he went to the top. I mean, and those two guys was Sage Steele. And I can't remember his name now. Big Alonzo, huge Bulgarian guy. And they just were throwing each other around, beating the shit out of each other. And you got to remember, like, they're not cussing at you or anything. Just get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want you to get hurt.
To keep you hurt.
And it's always funny because they're so apologetic. He said, Bubba. And they always say, Bubba, I'm sorry. I was like, dude, it's okay.
I get it.
Like, I get it. Like, I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I wonder, because last time we went to, we saw that Sloan, the ref, actually missed the steps trying to get back up and fell on the way trying to get back to the ring. So like, shit like that happens. Like, and I wasn't.
But like, how many times like you see like the bloopers and stuff, and like they'll fall or slip it.
Yeah,
it's live, man. Like you can't.
But that's why I was curious.
That's
how
why,
often?
Like, when people say like, oh, like they botched or they did like that, you can't rehearse like live. Like things are gonna happen. They're gonna go wrong.
Yeah, it's human nature.
Yeah. Has LeBron James made every dunk like that? Right. So you're not going to be like, oh, he botched. Like, no, he missed a dunk. Like, it happens. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it. I mean, like,
right. Bear Bonds hit every ball. Like, it's just,
just the way it is.
Yeah.
So then besides the filming, you're now a teacher. So what made you decide to jump into that realm?
Man, long story short there. I worked for AT&T and my son's over there saying it's not him. It wasn't him. So I worked for AT&T for almost like 10 years, and they just went one day and just laid us off. Just the job I had, they just went through, and it was like, I heard this years ago. They said the safer you are, the closest you are to the cash register.
Yeah.
That was like a guy was telling me that all the time. So the job I had, they went through, took the whole department out, and that day was like Black Thursday. They just went through and cleared so many. It was a week before Thanksgiving.
Gotcha.
Oh, man.
Kind of took like that, and it was because it was no heads up either. It was just like, hey, end of the month, man. Sorry. It's just, wow, okay.
This just sucks that companies can do that.
Yeah.
But
Complaint, right?
And it was one of those things where it was like, oh, and there was nothing. There was no like, well, we found you something over here. You could do this. It was like, no, man, like
there's nothing available.
Yeah, that's it. It wasn't. It's not you. It's not. It's just that's it. Okay. I took about a month or a couple weeks. And then I picked up another job, and I was so miserable, like doing it. But I had the idea, like afterwards, I said I got to do something else that's like sustainable, like that can't be, because I'm 40 now, and I was almost 40. That it's only been 2.5, 3 years, and I can't be like this can't keep happening to me. Like I can't do something else, and then them come through and be like, well, you're laid off again.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing it. So education came up, and it was like a couple of people said you'd probably be good if you did, And stepping into it, those first couple weeks are like, whew, why? But now that you're in it, it's like I can't see myself doing anything else. Like as a full-time job, like I can't.
So what grade are you teaching now?
Right now, working at the high school,
Okay.
and all from really 9th through 12th, like and anywhere in between. Yeah.
Any specific subjects, or you just kinda
English
filling in?
mainly, and then we're filling in doing like pullouts for like kids that need extra work on the help with their homework or classwork or anything.
Okay.
Else. Yeah.
I was curious because I know like my kid's only in second grade now, so I know like I can imagine the
Well, I
teachers
taught first
are
grade.
different.
I taught first grade 2 years in a row before made the change to the high school this year. And that's different.
Which do you prefer?
The older kids.
The older kids?
And that's not like it's different. It's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
The babies are sweet as can be, and
Yeah.
it's like you're just so inundated with love all day because they want to hug and they want to high five and you can reason with the older kids. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're not your kids. They're not you. Sometimes you can't talk to them a certain way or do certain things that you normally would, but you reach them different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all the same. I mean, in the end, it's all the same. You want what's best for them, but yeah, it's good. It's good work.
I was curious because I know like when I try to tell my daughter how to do something, she could care less. But if I try to teach somebody at work how to do something, they're pretty
different.
receptive.
Yeah. And the funny thing is when I see people and I tell them like, yeah, but what are you doing now? And I tell them and they're like, really? Like, yeah, I know. I would have never thought, no, like never thought.
I don't like cop, teacher, nurse. I'm not.
No, but
way.
I would have never thought that it would be like, yeah. And like I said, now it's like,
I mean, you've always been a great people person from since I've known you, so that's why
thanks, Ken.
It works.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I got personality. You hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I know, and that was always, because most of the jobs I've always had were always in management or something else. So you've always had that like teacher role and like how you could get the best out of communication, how you get the best out of people. Yeah. And it's different because teenagers are a little bit rough, but they, for the most part, like when you work with them one-on-one, you kind of get that rapport built with them. It's really no different than having employees.
I was
like,
going to say, Blockbuster, most of your employees were teenagers anyway, because when
the
I
time,
started, I was only like 18, 19.
Yeah.
So.
And you kind of get that rapport and that respect from them because, one, it's like you're kind of halfway to their gen. You understand. You like, they always think like you're so old and out of touch with stuff. But then when you bring up stuff and they go, how do you know about that? I'm like, I don't live under a rock. Like, But, yeah, so it's good. So it's fun. It's more engaging. And sometimes they'll tell you things and, I had a kid today, and this has been since October, and he pulled me aside today, and he goes, man, like, he's like, are you going to be here next year? I said, well, it's kind of up and down, like, because of, I may go back to teach elementary because that's where I'm finishing my degree in and everything else, and he was just like, well, I need you to come to my graduation next year. And I was just like, and this kid, if you're around him, he's tough as can be, and he's just like, but, you click with it. Yeah, like you built that rapport and that relationship with him, so it's always good like that. But yeah, certain things like that. And then when you leave, you're like, damn, like this is why, like I come back every day. Like this is why I do it. Yeah. And it's corny as can be, but it's Coach Carter moments like that you can't.
I mean, that's part of the reason I go back to work every day is I'm a manager and I just teach people what not to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I had good rapport with certain teachers, you know what I mean? And before I graduated, I went back and let them know that they were, they were an integral part in my life, Some weren't, but some were.
Right. And that's not even to say like those people, like there's, to me, and doing this, it's like saying, like, I wouldn't say there's no bad teachers.
Yeah.
There might be people that might be a little misguided or anything else. And some people just in general just aren't coachable or want to see that they can be better, like at what they're, and that's in anything, like
no matter what.
Yeah, can't take criticism, can't take feedback, because they just what do you?
I know what I'm doing. I don't need your help. Yeah.
But when you see, and where I'm at now, you don't have really much of that I've seen. Everybody wants to be on the same page. Everybody wants to be on the same team. Yeah, you got your grumbles and stuff and anything, but that's gonna come with anything in life. But for the most part, everybody's really bought into what we're trying to do. Some days are rough. They just are. But when you have those win days and things like that, but you get through it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Remember having those days. It all made it worth it. So we ended up all right. Still grew up in York.
Still here.
I think we all did, right? Yeah. So, all right. Good stopping point for everybody. Unless anybody has any last comments. But
wrap it up. Is there anything you wanted to promote?
Oh, yeah.
And check out Kurt Media Group on Facebook. Washington Winona Images on Facebook. We do weddings, every sporting event, concerts, live events, whatever you need. I got you covered.
Word. I know. I want to talk about weddings, but we'll save that for next time.
Yeah, I'll come back.
Yeah, now that he knows where you live. And
I
can
got
find
more
you.
Yeah, I
questions
can find
too.
you.
So
Yeah, we'll do this
for
again.
sure.
This was fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, Cisco.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Hope you guys liked it. Throw down a comment in the bottom. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked it. Throw us a comment. Let us know if you liked it. And we'll see you next time. Later.